I mean, just better not swear. Oh, just want to, yeah, little Mickey here. I was working on my dirt bike yesterday, on the old IT, doing a bit of maintenance on it, put a new front tyre on it, and I also was oil changing my ute and that Falcon ute, and just doing a bit more maintenance on the Falcon, and I was throwing the chainsaw around the other day. Well, my arthritis is playing up the base of my back now. I got osteoarthritis across here. It's sore today. It's sore as sore. So I'm going to try and, got the wind going here. So it's all across here. And because I was under me ute. I had it jacked up and it run up some boards, just dropping the oil and that. Oh, gee. I don't know. I've done a lot of labouring in my life. And any of these people that have done labouring will know how sore. Well, I probably should say anyone that's got osteoarthritis will know that how sore things can get. So like even that, so I'm not flexible. I'm just doing some really slow stretching for it. And when I used to work on the council, they were good. One thing they were really good at was looking after your body. They'd tell you, they don't want you off work. So we used to warm up every morning. I don't do as much labouring, nowhere near as much labouring, so I'm getting a gut on me, which I've been working on trying to get down, because I've got what is it? Pre-diabetic. I'm pre-diabetic, but starting to get the old man bod on me. So you aren't what you were when you were 40 years of age when you're 62. And anyone that's laboured hard, and people are laboured harder than me, but I've done a lot of labouring in my life, sawmills, meatworks. One sawmill, meatworks for many years, and just a lot of brush cutting, a lot of that sort of stuff. You brush cut, so you're twisting your body, and you do that for 20 years. You've done it. This back, I was going to do some chainsaw work today, but it's not going to happen. I was chainsawing on the weekend, and then I was just cleaning up around the property, and I was going to do some brush cutting too, but it's not happening. I won't be doing it today. We're Wednesday today, but yeah. So I don't know. Let's see. My flexibility, I've never had flexibility. Now I was a bloke that was, my meatworks days I was under 70 kilos, 67, 68 kilos, and the reason why I know that, you got scales in the meatworks, and all of us used to jump on the scales because we were all trying to get heavier, and it's very repetitive, fast work, meatworks, and you're trying to bulk up, just to look better, and it's good to be bulked up. Well, it's good to be sinewed, I suppose you'd say, sinewy, probably not so massive bulk muscle, for the simple reason it's fast moving work. When you're on a chain or a rail and you're being pushed and you've got someone that's a gun slaughterman. I wasn't a gun slaughterman, I was just a good honest slaughterman. That's most of the things I've always been in my life, is just a good honest worker, not a gun worker, just always turn up. That's what I've done. Probably got into a few stouses in workplaces arguing when I probably didn't need to. But on saying that, I probably always have my own opinion. Whether it's right, wrong or indifferent, sometimes being wrong, no doubt about it. But look, all in all, I always go to work. Like I work most days here. But today I'll be taking it easy. I've got all this area here's got to be brush cut. All through here. I'll probably burn that first because we've got some light timber there that needs burning, and that's good brown snake country, so I don't know that I need to be getting in amongst that. And I'm just going to go for a walk now and just show you. That's me stretching done. I do a lot of walking down here. So now I've got a burn with wifey's sprayed that. We're just at the moment getting a little Azito lithium battery powered spray pack. She's ordered one of them in because you've got to order them in because they mustn't sell many. I think it's a 10 litre job, and so we're getting one of them in. Here the bellbirds or bell miners, bellbird. Bellbirds or bell miners, and I love the sound of them. Used to have them up on the sunny coast in different areas out from Conondale through to Kenilworth, and there was a place actually used to be called up through the Kenilworth forest just before you open out into farming land coming into Kenilworth. We used to be called Bellbird, but they moved from there, and bellbirds are a beautiful sounding bird, but they are a problem because they actually, particular type of eucalypt, particular type of gum tree. I'm not sure if they eat a bug, I'd have to do the research, but anyhow, what they do, whatever they eat off it, or the bug they eat off it, or the bug they bring with them, I'm not sure, I'd have to research and you can easily just find it yourself. Bell miner, they eventually stuff the trees, and they move, like they've moved down to halfway down the Conondale Range. And this is what they love, lantana. Introduced by the English for a hedge. And what went well in England doesn't necessarily go well in Australia. And it is a problem. A big problem. So what we got here, this is another piece of fireplace I've got to burn. I've got some 3 by 1.5, or in America you call it 1.5 inch by 3. I worked in the Imperial Sawmill. In the measurements this way. So that's a 3 by 1.5 piece of shit pine. See all the knots? Also known as arseholes for rocking horses. Hopeless. But that's actually a pretty straight bit of wood. That won't be getting burnt. But this here's got to get burnt. And I know down here in this pile, this is where my little brown snake went to from the property. That one I had on the vlog is about 6 foot long. Eastern brown. So effectively, I seen his skin. He shed his skin in there. Now, as I understand, snakes will shed skins 3 to 4 times a year. There again, don't take that for gospel. Do your research. But one I just was told that the other day, so I haven't done my research on that. But there'll be brown snakes in that firewood there. Now, that to me looks like, well, that's definitely stringy bark there. And the ones on this side, I'm pretty sure they're ones that post, well, that one there's a post that we had up in the little shed. And I pulled them out and replaced, and my son and I done it, mainly more my son, because I hurt my shoulder. I felt like a bloody useless then. You can see where I'd put engine oil, old engine oil, painted it on, and that one is not eaten out at all, but most of them were eaten out. There is, I might even start selling a few loads of firewood just for a bit of pocket money, I think. I'd need to buy a splitter, but splitter and a carry-all on the back of my tractor, so we'll wait and see, because it's all money. And if you're going to spend, say, 3,000 or 4,000 on a splitter, good Chinese splitter, a Bush Ranger or whatever, and then USA powered, be it a Kawasaki motor or a Honda or a Briggs. I'll take either of those, or a Kohler, which are no longer Kohler. I'll take either of them, any of them, and I'll take the Chinese Long Sin. They're a good motor. I know that for a fact because I know a few people that have got them, and they're bloody good motors. And they're cheaper, and they're not a problem for parts or anything. And they're still affordable if you start having a fair bit of trouble. You can actually still afford to replace them if you're starting to get worn. With the Kawasaki motor I've got made in USA, beautiful motor. It's a 24 horse V twin, and the V lays flat down on the ground, not vertical. That is a brilliant motor. And the 17.5 Intech, apart from wearing out a few push rods, a few aluminium push rods, and I've got all steels in it now. Because it's funny, I don't know why they do it, might be for less rotating weight. But they have one on the exhaust is a stainless steel, oh, it's not a stainless, it's a steel push rod. It's just a push rod engine. And on the intake, maybe because it's cooler, they have an aluminium push rod, but they've got a little guide plate, and it's snapped two of them off in the time I've had it, in probably 300 hours. And yeah, so this here's I looked at buying an Australian trailer, and look at that. When I used to have a car with a top loader, that's a tunnel mounted shifter for a top loader gearbox, and that, don't ask me, but that is one of the worst shifters I've ever changed gears with. It is a shocker. Second worst too, and don't ask me why, maybe some people know a lot better than I know. I've got a new shifter, and it's the worst shifter. The new factory genuine. Now it's obviously reproduced. Absolutely shocking shifter. I just don't rate top loaded factory shifters. And yeah, when I sold the car, an XB 351 manual, and with a top loader in it. Now it wasn't factory, but what I should have done is I don't flog my car. I don't flog things that I got. What I should have done is get away bug. I should have put a single rail gearbox, a ball Warner gearbox, or now if I still had the car, you'd put a this is a fair while ago, you'd put a later model gearbox, T505 speed or T6060. That's what you'd put in it. Sure, you could be able to get a bell housing that'd adapt. I don't know what they had in the last of the Windsors, in the AUs and the AUs with the 5 litre Windsor, and then they had the Stroke, a 5.6 litre Windsor in the FPV Tickford T50s, Tickford T50 T3. That's the real good one. That's the 5.6 litre Stroke or Windsor, 250 kilowatts. That's the one that you'd get the 5 speed out of that. If I still had a V8 Ford, I've got the old F truck, but it's got a heavy duty. And down the track, maybe I might even put a 5 or 6 speed in it, just to get that 351's got heaps of torque. And it would look, it probably wouldn't know itself with a. I don't get it out much because it's on Club Rego. But you know, if I come across one cheap, I see an XR8 sold the other day with a modular engine in it, 5.5 5.4 litre twin overhead cam Triton. It was a XR8, so it's got the four camera in it. Bloke doing a test on it on YouTube. It's an interesting test. I've still got to finish watching it because he tested up against a Camry, V6 Camry, which it went well. The XR8 had too much for it in the drag strip, and believe it or not, too much for it under braking. But I don't think the Camry was the Sportivo one. I think it was just the 4 litre front wheel drive. I think it's a very good engine. Well, just typical Toyota. And let's listen to those bellbirds. But yeah, they were impressed with the Camry, but now they're bringing in the I think it's the VYSS with the LS engine in it, or the whatever. It's an LS. Oh, they're a beautiful engine, those things. I'm a Ford bloke. If I had heaps of money, I'd put a Godzilla in whatever car I had that I could fit in. That's because that's not unlike an LS, except it's a 444 cuber, I think, 450 cubic inches. So, you know, in standard form, I think she's a bit up there, 425 horsepower and bags of torque. And she's a cast iron block, which I prefer. Cast iron blocks, they take a tad longer to warm up, but you don't have the corrosion problems. And a set of heads is a set of heads. I mean, in America, use it nose straight up. What are the Godzillas are like, and by all accounts, now they're in the F trucks and that, and by all accounts they're performing well. There's a couple of little things that they've modified out of the factory. I think the early ones had roller rockers standard. Now they've got a pressed rocker. Yellowterra here in Australia Australia builds Yellowterra products. Like in those old Fords I've had over the years, I had a lot of Yellowterra stuff, Yellowterra adjustable roller rockers in that Cleveland, and that I sold in that XB. And I also had Yellowterra flywheel. They build a lot of stuff, and they build good stuff. They do a lot of good Holden stuff with really good heads. And I'm not sure, I think Bennett Heads, maybe he started off in the early days in Yellowterra, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I'd have to do research on that one again, so I shouldn't say that. But Bennett Race Heads in Australia, he's right up there with any of the fellas in the US with cylinder heads. He's right up there with Drag Boss's mate, and I think Drag Boss's mate's probably one of the, what's his name? There's a drag racer with the same name here in Australia, because I asked Drag Boss whether they were the same blokes. He said no. I can't think of his name, but anyhow, he's a guru on cylinder heads, and I have no doubt that what have we got going here? 18 minutes, gee. I've got onto a bit of a rant about engines. Anyhow, that name will pop up before I finish this. Bennett does a lot of V8 supercar head work, or did. I don't know if he still does, and a lot of racing boats and a lot of V8 supercar racing boats, and they do a lot of those dirt track, those slider bloody things that go around dirt tracks fast, big methanol burners. And I'd say Bennett race heads are world class, and they do a lot of modifications. I think they'll do stuff if you get a set of CHI heads. The one I'd do, if I had the money, I'd do it. If I had the money, I won the lotto, I'd do probably an XD or an XE Falcon, probably an XE, because I just like the look of the XEs better. I had an XE 351 years ago, and I sold it to my brother, and he eventually was going to give it back to me, but I didn't have anywhere to garage it, and he ended up selling it on to a bloke I know, Brian Eaton. He's since sold it, and I think old mate's got it under a mango tree now, rotting out. And it wasn't a factory V8, but it was an XE Fairmont gear done up like a ESP for use in America. Google Ford ESP XE Falcon, and they were a beautiful car. They had shield seats standard, or you had good, better instrumentation like your S-Pack instrumentation, all cloth seats, better suspension, and last of the 351s that they put in them cars, apart from D. Tomaso Panteras out of Australia. We cast them up in Australia at Geelong Engine Plant, and also F trucks out of Australia. My F truck is the last of them. We're still running Cleveland's right up into the bullnose F-truck, I think you call it over in America, the ones that the front end goes over. Then they went over to the early 90s, they went over to the Windsors, which 351 Windsors, which we all know they're a great engine. They're like the American engines, in my opinion. I can't speak for new stuff, but like hearing a lot of good reports on Coyotes and your Voodoo engines, just unbelievable engines, and make big horsepower. And make big horsepower with a lot of your Voodoos and that. They're a flat plane crank there, I think they're a 5.2 litre. But they make unbelievable horsepower, but like those Coyotes, I was just saying, I'd watch a lot of American stuff, and they're into them in Australia now because we got a lot of Mustangs floating around, new Mustangs floating around here. We got all our muscle car industry, as in building HSV Holdens, which built magnificent, absolutely magnificent, like your W427 Commodore, which Google that in America, W427 Walkinshaw, as in Walkinshaw Andretti United. Google the W427, and then there's the last of them, which is the VF. Is their final swan song. Is just Google HSV Walkinshaw, and I think they made about 250 of them, not many, and all them now 250. I think 50 went to New Zealand, because New Zealand and Australia are always hand in hand. Great Kiwis, and they've honestly, the New Zealanders, you can just go on and on and on about how smart they are with, well, just people, the world's fastest Indian. Everyone knows what I'm talking about there, the movie. Kiwi, McLaren, Stone Brothers Racing. Stone Brothers Racing now racing for Chevrolet in Australia, and they're one of the top GM teams in my opinion, and they're a top GM team on a smaller budget, and that's what I really like about Stone Brothers when they had Marcus Ambrose racing for them. Unbelievable. And Russell Ingall, 3 touring car titles I think for Marcus Ambrose under Stone Brothers, and also that's Jimmy Stone and Ross Stone, and Jimmy Stone was there the day that Bruce McLaren was killed. He was one of the engineers in the what Bruce McLaren was killed in, and just watch it and you'll see unbelievable engineers. Jimmy Richards, Scott McLaughlin, Shane Van Gisbergen. Honestly, the list just goes on and on and on. As for great drivers, to be dead honest with you, I think that Jim Richards is probably, in my opinion, I've watched V8s. I watched Jim Richards come over, and when Alan Moff used to go over, Alan Moffat's a great driver. He's, to be honest, I don't have heroes, but Alan Moffat's, in my opinion, is, to me, he's the ultimate, because Alan Moffat went there to win, and I don't say Brocky and all the likes of it didn't go there to win, but I've seen Alan Moffat race, I've seen Dick Johnson race, and I've got Dick Johnson in the old school. I think he's just great. And Jimmy Richards, the latter fellas, Van Gisbergen, Scott McLaughlin, they'll go down in history. Look, I just really probably think Jim Richards is probably the greatest all-rounder. Colin Bond, he didn't win as much, but Colin Bond in Australia. But Alan Moffat and Peter Brock, Dick Johnson, like I say, I got 2 fellas I really look up to, and I'm not a heroes type person. But Dick Johnson and Alan Moffat especially, because I grew up as a young kid being highly influenced by GTHO Falcons as a 10-year-old, seeing a GT, Windsor powered GT, not a Ho. And I've seen that in action as a kid. And I said to my other YouTube stuff, looking out the window at school, because I done shit house at school. I wasn't interested, and just wasn't interested. To me, it was going to school. It was going to school to have fun, hanging around with my mates and checking out schoolgirls when I was young, and that started early, because my last name is Swenson, and that's how we are. If we're going to be dead honest, we love beautiful things, and I always say, My wife's absolutely beautiful in my eyes. I absolutely idolise her. But I love the looks of, ultimately when it comes to a car, like I'm not saying De Tomaso, Pantera, because they're unique, but they're not unique to Australia. But I'm an Australian muscle car man, first and foremost. And everyone goes the Hoeys, everyone's a GTHO man. Now I've driven a Windsor Hoe, it's an impressive car. The XB that I had, honestly, but fair enough, it's a 408, it was a 408 cuber. Just absolutely piss all over the GTHO Windsor in every facet. Admittedly, the GTHO Windsor that I've driven a few times is dead standard with a set of extractors on. I think it's a Holly 600. You know, mine got an extra 50, what was that, an extra 59, 408, an extra 57 cubes and a more aggressive camshafts and all that, camshaft and all that sort of shit. So it's modified and it was sitting on, when I sold it, this XB 351/408 was sitting on bigger rubber, although the hoe that I've driven, and I didn't get into it because I don't get in other people's cars, but you know, you can just tell as soon as you get in it. You know, it's like if someone says to you, what's the best driving car out of an XB Falcon Ute sitting on 215 tyres and whatever profile, or what's the best, a BF Falcon Ute like I've got sitting on the same profile tyres. The BF Falcon Ute will run rings around it because it's just a modern design, and people probably don't like hearing that, but that's the facts. That's the facts, because I've driven V8s Fords with good suspension. I've driven a GTP Falcon. That was the 5-speed manual. That was the first of the 03 GT Falcons that come back, the GTP. Probably, I think my 408 I had to absolutely flog it in the cakewalk for power. If I in that silly looking top loader shifter that I had, if I got it to change properly. If it was just a straight out off the bottom, apart from wheel spin in the XB because no traction control, if you could get that off the line, it had 325 diff gears in it. If you could get it off the line, it'd absolutely, I'd say, cakewalk that GTP to 100 miles an hour. So over the half mile, I think you wouldn't see the GTP. I doubt wouldn't see which way mine, the one I had, went. But once you got up into the higher speeds, you'd see it walk past you in gearing, because the Falcon would top out, I don't know, 3.25 diff gears. You can work it out. It's not hard to work out. But anyhow, Kiwis, yeah. I've known heaps of Kiwis. I've got heaps of Kiwi friends. Brilliant. More probably like Australians were in the 70s and 80s. The Kiwis will still do a lot of stuff themselves because they haven't got the money. And it's like Peter Brock putting his engine, him and his dad put the engine in that little Austin A30. Guess what? That thing was quick. I see a bloke with a Mazda MX-3, is it? The little sports car, little two-door thing, down at Willowbank, Queensland Raceway there at Willowbank. He was going around, and that was turbocharged, and it was also winged. It had wings on it, and that car was circulating quicker, or as quick as a V8 supercar, for probably 50 grand. V8 supercar's $1 million. This is 10 years ago. That bloke could steer it, don't worry about that, but he was just that far ahead of everyone else in his class of race that he went in that day. And the times, because we just had our stopwatches out, because I was interested to see what time he was doing. And he was, if he wasn't faster, he was right there with the top of the V8 team cars. What you got to remember, 10 to 15 years ago, there might have been a second or two in them there, but in now, I think your top 15 of the V8 supercars, they're probably all within under a second of each other. It's probably it's like NASCAR, it's just that close. Unless you get out front, it's a brilliant series. People can go and all babble on all they want about it, but they're proper race cars. They're built race cars. They're not road cars glorified now, but they're built race cars and they're brilliant. But anyhow, I've probably said enough. I'm just, I hate sitting around. That's why I always walk around doing something. And anyhow, this here makes beautiful kindling to start your fire. You seen last night on YouTube like that fire going. And I sat here and cooked my sausages up. And see, yesterday I didn't have any tea until tea. This morning, just had a bit of cereal, a bit of Just Right, I love it, and a piece of toast and a cup of coffee. Then I drink water, and I also drink warm apple cider vinegar. I think it's very good. I think it makes your body, the pH or whatever it is, which you probably start looking into when you get older. It's very good for your body. There's my little doggy, Frankie. Hey, Frankie Fish. Hey, Frankie. I'm just talking, mate. Love my little Frankie Fish and my little Harry High Pants. Hey? Look at this. Hey, Frankie Fish. Hey, Frankie. Your little three-legger. Hey, beautiful. Come on, Hattie. Come on, Hattie High Pants. Come on. Come, Daddy, give you. Look at these beautiful boys. I love my little boys. I really do. They live in my little shed with me through the week when I'm down here. Pretty rough little setup in my little shed, but these are, honestly, little Frankie, the little black fella here, he's just turned 10. And Hattie's coming up quick, ain't she, little mate? Look at that. They love each other. This little Harry here's got the cleanest ears you would ever see. I've rambled on about a lot today. Look at that, licks his eyes. You love your brother, don't you? They're brothers with another mother, these fellas. Little Frankie's pug, this little fella here, he's pug cross miniature fox terrier. To me, he looks like a little miniature foxy. I absolutely, Harry doesn't understand what I'm saying, I don't think, but to me, this little black bloke here, he's just a little battler. See, he's got 3 little toes. He's had cancer in his little right front foot. He's had bone disease in his left shoulder, in his left front leg. That's why it's taken off. Just under $4,000 later, little Frankie's powering, and he's had a little growth removed off his side. So he's had 2 little bouts of cancer, and the one on the little foot, look at that. The one on the little foot here, that come up inside about 2 months or less. We just got it removed straight away and it was cancerous. I thought this little fella here, little Frankie, would be a lot hardier. But believe it or not, this little fella here, he's fawn pug cross Tibetan Spaniel. Now, that dog there, he would stand till he was killed to protect you. This fella here, he's unreal. They both got good ears. Frankie's got probably the best ears. Both got good noses, believe it or not. You wouldn't think that little flat nose would be good, would you, Hattie? I call him Harry, little Hattie, or little Harry High Pants, or I call him a lot of other names when he won't come to me, don't I, mate? Look at that. And he looks at you, and if you're getting onto him, it's like he starts crying. That's how beautiful little dog. Whereas Frankie, he doesn't show the expression on his face because just probably being that face he's got. How could you not love a dog, you know? I just, to me, they're, apart from other human beings that I'm very close to, human beings, and there's only a few of them that I'm very extremely close to, barring my family. Obviously my son, my grandson, my wife, of course, and I got probably half a dozen other friends that I'm close to, and I'm extremely close to 3 friends, and I won't say names, it doesn't matter, but yeah, so look, I'm going to pull this up because I've been rabbiting on, but I just wanted to do one about this bloody back of mine. And like I say, I'm going to cruise it today. I'll get into a bit of chainsaw and tractor work tomorrow, and that's what you can do when you're retired. Carl's got some kangaroo paw. Now we burnt this out here the other day, as you can see. We just collect the sticks, but there's kangaroo paw, one there, that one's dead. By the looks of things, it doesn't look like he dried right out. One there again, lantana there. So one there, one there. I'm going to water these these up today, later on, because I'll need a bit of water now, because it's drying off a bit. But really I don't need to talk about too much, and I probably don't need to talk about all this, but oh look, some people might listen to it, some people might not. This is a Chinese trailer here, tipping trailer. So it's 7 foot long and it is 5 foot wide in the old measurements. I always relate to that better than metrics in trailer sizes, isn't it funny? And in cubic capacity, I can relate to 5.8 litre, I can relate to 350 cubic inch, 351, 5.760 standard board, 4-inch, I think it's 5,760 cc's is a 351 Cleveland standard. I can relate to that, and I can relate to 351. In the sawmill, I was saying there, oh, this trailer had to put new springs under it. Springs cracked. It is now probably 5 years old. Made in China. Gal nuts here, gal bolts, just the top starting to go rusty. That's nothing that a few new gal bolts wouldn't change. Probably if I bought them again, I'd get a heavier duty on that. I used to put my oil and fuel and for me mowing business in that, but that's coming off. And that will just store probably lithium batteries outside of me, just me Azedo power tools and the electric push bike. Apart from the springs, this was, if I wanted to get an Australian made one, but I was hard up for dollars at the time when I started my mowing business. And you know what? This trailer cost me 5 years ago $1,950 fully registered. Exactly how you see it sitting, but without the aluminium toolbox, which is an Australian made one. And this was a place called Trailers Direct on the sunny coast. I've painted the dog's pee on here, but I re-grease and adjust the wheel bearings every year, as we do on our little camper trailer. And I put Australian made springs under it. The other Chinese one's cracked. Well, one cracked and I spotted it, but they were light from the day I got it. You could stand on it and it was real springy. They didn't have a lot of tension on them, but I got Australian made springs and put under it myself, and they're just that and that, and they haven't given any trouble whatsoever. And I've used the trailer a lot, especially when I shifted all our bits and pieces down to where we are. I could not whinge, and honestly the equivalent Australian one was 3,500. I would love to have bought, but I couldn't afford it. And this is Rhino, made in Australia, stainless hinge, all aluminium, and it's bloody beauty. Except the F-Truck, because the tray of the F-Truck comes out, I turned around and give her a bit of a crunch. I hollered, didn't I? But it's still all right. It's got a rubber sealing under there, I think, under the lip. Oh no, it doesn't. The lips around. I thought it did have a rubber seal, but the lips around drains off. Doesn't leak. It's a bloody ripper. But, oh, we got a dark cloud. Look at that. Coming out. Well, we got the wind is coming from, that's east out there. East out where I'm pointing, so that's east. We got the winds coming directly at me now, and so it's coming from the southeast, predominantly from the southeast. Oh, look at this, would you? Let me see if I can get him to come out. Probably not. It's got cobwebs over it, so. Now they tell me someone put up a story on these. I'm not attracting him out. I put up a story on these. I thought they were a funnel web, but it appears not. No, he's not coming out. Whether they're there, but they're everywhere here. As are brown snakes. as eastern browns. You got your western browns, you got your eastern browns. I think the second most dangerous snake on this planet. I think South Africa's got one called a mamba, a black mamba, as I understand, and our taipans, which have got a head on like a coffin, and also one they refer to as the rough scale. I don't know who it's related to. I've never seen it. I've seen a rough scale at Australia Zoo down Steve Irwin's when Steve was still alive. I've been there a few times since Steve passed. I really love Australia Zoo. But I just think they're probably not accurate with how many crocodiles they think are around. That's just me. I just got mates that fish. And in that Fitzroy River, where they're talking about having the Olympics, a mate of mine, Dave, and his son Charlie, and his other son Aaron, and his wife Katut, they fish there regularly. Dave said the salties in there that are bigger than, longer than his boat. He said you just do not get to the edge of the boat. And if they wanted to, they tip your bait if they were stirry enough or hungry enough, or wanted to, if you were sitting on the edge, just grab you straight off your bait. And people can go and they won't. They don't know. It's like a dingo never killed Azaria Chamberlain. We all know a dingo killed Azaria Chamberlain because a dingo killed Quentin Gage on Fraser Island, which is near Gari, which I still refer to as Fraser, because I've grew up with it as Fraser Island. I've got no problem with being Gari, or Gari Island, formerly known as Fraser. That's how I probably put it, or Fraser, also known indigenously as Gari. It's like Ayers Rock. To me, Ayers Rock's Uluru, because it's been named Uluru for a long time, longer than Ayers Rock. But I don't have a problem with any of that. But you've still got to keep your European heritage, because guess what? I'm German. My heritage, I'm Australian, 100% Australian in my book. I was born here in 62, the twin and I were born here 62 years, 3 months ago. I love Australia, and as a lot of other people do. It's a great country, in my opinion. It's just unbelievable country, and I'll always love Australia. Just looking at those ranges over there, so I can see through the eucalypts there, and it's a fair bit, that eastern range there, I'm looking through it, which you won't pick up. It's a bloody lot higher than we're standing here. We're standing a bit over 800 metres above sea level here, so that's multiply that, Americans multiply that by a bit over 3 feet, and that's what will give you your feet. So multiply 800 metres, which is a metre's a tad more than 3 feet. Multiply that out, that'll give you, that's 2,400 feet, isn't it? 8 and 8, 16, yeah, 2,400 feet above sea level here, 2,400 feet. It's cold here, I love it. I love the cold. Just got a workout last night. Look at that. Had sausages, which I don't eat a lot. Beef sausages from Stanthorpe. These are nice. In the butcher shop there, I always buy meat from the butcher shop. I just prefer it. And they all grass, mostly grass fed, just finished off on grain. But we got Black Angus running around this area here, this Southern Darling Downs. It's Black Angus here everywhere, which I show. They're dominant, I'd say 9.5 to 1 to anything else. Got some beautiful big belted Galloway. I was talking to Blake about them the other day. They're beautiful. He's got 2 big belted Galloway bulls. They're beautiful, and we've also got Droughties, Drought Masters, and we also have some Herefords. But the cattle down on the southern downs get a lot more woolly. They get real woolly because of the cold. We're just starting to come in now to the cold. But look, I'm going to leave it at that. I've rabbited on for now 44 minutes and 30 seconds. Most people won't even watch this, but really I don't. That's not, really doesn't faze me at all. I would like a few more people to at least tick a like and subscribe, but I got coming up 800 people that subscribe to me, and I think the majority of nearly all of the people that watch my vlogs are Australian, and most of them between 45 and 75 years of age, so the analytics tell me. Don't ask me how they know that, but they do. And no women watch my stuff at all. which is no woman, no woman. And I just, I wish that few more had watching. I really wish, my little mate Trigger and my wife and my sister and that, well generally, and my twin brother Mark, they'll comment on my videos, my vlogs, and but no one else seems to. But to get a few likes, not many likes, but a fair few people watch. More so the shorts, you know, because it probably just holds a better view. I was just looking at the one where I dropped that stringy bark the other day, and it doesn't show me wedging it or anything, because I'd done my scarf and I'd put my back cut in, and it was weighing heavy to the west. Wanted to go to the west, but I wanted to go to the east because it's easier to clean up with my tractor. There's less picking up sticks when it's nearly dropped right on where I want it to stay. It'll either be firewood, or it'll be when a fire eventually comes through, it'll just burn in there against our boundary, and hope it doesn't burn us out. But one bloke said, "Oh, you got no scarf in there. Where's your scarf?" Well, the scarf was in there. The scarf was about 5 inches thick, and the scarf. I mean, like scarf or belly calf. I know it as scarf. Uncle used to call it belly calf. I don't know what Dad used to call it. Can't remember, but I always remember my uncle saying, "Oh, that belly calf." Now he used to offside with his dad, Albert Vogel, the original of Albert that I know. I didn't know him because he died before I knew him. But Albert Vogel Jr., he used to offside when he was, 10, 12, 15-year-old. And they just refer to it as a belly calf, and they cut a lot of timber in and around Killarney, which is right in southern Queensland, just behind the border ranges, and all up around, which you've seen, up around Dag Falls and Queen Mary Falls, all up through there, all in and around Killarney. Out in and around Bow Desert, Rathdowney, the mum and my granddad and my uncle are buried at Bow Desert Cemetery on Tubber Street. There's my mate Pagey, a lot of his family. I used to work with Pagey, an Indigenous family, great bloke. A lot of his family and relatives are buried there too. But yeah, so not many comments on the falling, but a fair few views. I think it was running about 100 views in under an hour there, and that's probably one of the better ones. But the best one I've ever had is on the Sami tractor. I'm just driving past pulling faces at my wife. Had 10,000 views on that in I think it was a day or 2 days, and I just don't understand it. But look, that's the way it is. But I wish people probably would subscribe and at least tick a like. It's not real hard. But what are you doing today, Trigger? You were making biofuel yesterday when I was talking to you at lunchtime or whatever it was. When I come in for a bit of a break, I think I was outside just in the carport talking to him. He was making biofuel, and we were having a good political talk on all these tariffs and that, which is a real pity because Australia spends more money, spends $4 US for every $3 US America spends in Australia. And the Donald Trump, President Trump, saying, and a lot of people are really down on him. I don't hate anyone. People, say, "I hate him." Well, no. Hate's a very powerful word. I just think, I don't know, I'm not an economist, but all the economists tell me that, well, what you listen to, that he's doing the wrong thing. But who am I? People, Americans have voted him in, and the American people that are going to be happy with him. And to be dead honest with you, I think he's got America at heart. Well, I'm sure he has, like all our politicians, Albo's got Albo, Peter Dutton, and your Barnaby Joyces and that. I'm sure they've got our country of Australia at heart. And but yeah, it's just see that little orange thing there? Gee, that's good for holding timber. See that? I've used it. Mate Trigger that I was talking to yesterday gave me that. He said, "Oh, you got a couple of them." He said, "Do you want that, Mick?" I'm going to put some higher jaws on it. You can see where that piece of 3x1.5 is. That's a bit of pine crap. And there's a bit of alloy above it I grabbed when I was doing a bit of cutting out just to do the flushings on the on this little shed behind me. This little, well, yeah, but it is very good. You can just grab bits of timber in it like a vice, and then just get in there with your little chainsaw and just cut it all into more manageable pieces. But at the moment I've got that much stuff laying around, it takes me 2 minutes to go and grab, and I just burn that, and I've got firewood here to burn for another 1,000 years, so well past my life, I would say. Just picking up the limbs that have dropped off. I don't even have to cut trees down. Why I got the trees cut down here is just for safety with fires, and fingers crossed, if the fires, when the fires do come, I've got to get another one of those, maybe a metal one, and we've already got that 10,000 litres there. We've got 4.564 litres to a gallon. It's Australian gallon, not a US gallon. That's an imperial pommy gallon, so as I understand, 4.564. So that gives you the gallon. So we got that. We got 2,000. That's a 10,000 litre. We got 2,000 out the other side, and we got 4 pods full of water, which are 1,000 litres each. Rightio. This is too long, and people won't even watch it. The old box stump there still shooting. Oops, sorry. You know what that was. Still shooting epicormic growth out the side of it, and that's growth over there near that little camp oven. Near me fire, you can see it's singed, but yeah, that root system goes straight out there. It's got a big root system, that brush box or grey box or whatever it was, still alive. But look, little Mick here from Macquarie Ridge. I'm going to sign it off. Carls, you know I love you heaps. I wish she was down here. That's my wife, wifey. And she hopefully will get down here. She comes down here and spends the weekends with me when I'm not up on the sunny coast. But hopefully, before much longer, she'll be spending a lot more time down here. But anyhow, that's Mick with a growth that he's got to trim off today. Mick signing off. I better go and get a shirt on because I think I'm a little bit red there. And Swano Mick, little Mick from Macquarie, 53 minutes. This is Wednesday. I'm going to have myself a cup of water, glass of water, and we will be talking. You all have a lovely day. All I can say is it's great to be alive, as everyone says. Oh, husky voice. Little Mick from Macquarie. You all have a lovely day. Little Mick out.